Top 5 actors Kevin Costner hated most. Behind the easygoing charm and all-American sincerity that made him Hollywood royalty lurked judgments as uncompromising as any frontier justice depicted in his iconic westerns. Kevin Costner, Oscar-winning director, box office titan, and embodiment of rugged American idealism, maintained a carefully crafted public image of straightforward professionalism while privately harboring animosities that shaped his remarkable 4-decade career. Kevin has this code about loyalty and straight dealing that's almost from another era, revealed a longtime production partner. Cross that line with him, and the folksy, approachable guy disappears immediately. He doesn't forget, and he doesn't pretend it didn't happen. What makes these revelations so fascinating isn't just their content, but how successfully Costner has concealed these feelings throughout his storied career. 1. Sean Young, the co-star who nearly derailed his breakthrough. The most explosive of Kevin Costner's professional animosities involved Sean Young, a conflict so intense during the filming of No Way Out, 1987, that it nearly derailed what would become his breakthrough leading role and established a pattern of mistrust that would influence his approach to co-stars for decades. This wasn't just typical on-set tension, explained a crew member who witnessed their interactions. This was psychological warfare that threatened to destroy what should have been a career-making film for Kevin. Their conflict began almost immediately when filming started on the political thriller that would establish Costner as a legitimate leading man after his supporting role in The Untouchables. According to multiple sources, Young, already known for volatile on-set behavior, began a campaign of deliberate disruption that Costner believed was calculated to sabotage his performance during their crucial scenes together. She would whisper different lines than what was in the script during his close-ups, deliberately trying to throw him off, revealed an assistant director. She'd change her performance dramatically between takes, so he couldn't establish any rhythm or consistency. It was the most unprofessional behavior I've ever witnessed. 2. Brad Pitt, the rising star who broke the code. Kevin Costner's intense dislike of Brad Pitt originated not from direct collaboration, but from what Costner viewed as a profound breach of professional ethics. During production of Thelma and Louise, 1991, a behind-the-scenes conflict that remained hidden from the public fundamentally altered both men's trajectories in Hollywood. This wasn't about jealousy or competing for the same roles, explained a producer who worked closely with Costner during this period. This was about Kevin's almost religious belief in honoring your commitments and his perception that Brad violated that code in a way that was both calculated and dishonorable. 3. Steven Spielberg, the legend who demanded deference. Kevin Costner's animosity towards Steven Spielberg may come as a surprise given Spielberg's towering influence in Hollywood and reputation as one of the industry's most universally respected figures. Yet insiders insist that Costner's disdain for Spielberg stemmed from a clash of values rooted in their very different approaches to filmmaking and leadership. Kevin has always believed in earning respect through fairness and collaboration, explained a longtime associate. What he couldn't stomach was Spielberg's expectation of automatic deference, as though his reputation entitled him to unquestioned obedience on set. Their professional paths crossed most visibly when Spielberg executive produced the disastrous 1997 film The Postman. According to sources close to the production, Spielberg, who was brought in as a behind-the-scenes advisor after studio executives grew nervous about the ballooning budget, repeatedly undermined Costner's authority as director. Kevin would make a decision about a scene, and Steven would quietly suggest alternatives to the studio, recalled a production member. It created a situation where the crew wasn't sure who they were supposed to follow. Costner, who had won an Academy Award for directing Dances with Wolves, bristled at what he perceived as condescension from Spielberg, interpreting his interference as a dismissal of his creative authority. The tension escalated when Spielberg allegedly expressed doubts about Costner's instincts during a private meeting with studio executives. Word of these doubts reached Costner, who considered them not only professionally insulting but personally disloyal, given Spielberg's supposed role as an ally. Kevin doesn't just dislike disloyalty. He views it as a betrayal of everything he stands for, explained a crew member. From that point forward, Spielberg was dead to him. While both men maintained a polite public facade, Costner reportedly went out of his way to avoid projects associated with Spielberg and advised collaborators against seeking the legendary director's involvement in his films. 4. Kevin Reynolds, the friend turned betrayer. Perhaps the most bitter of Costner's professional feuds was with director Kevin Reynolds, once his closest creative ally. Together, they had created Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Waterworld, collaborations that were supposed to cement their reputations as Hollywood powerhouses. Instead, their relationship dissolved into acrimony so intense that insiders still speak of it in hushed tones. They were like brothers, recalled a producer who worked with both men. And then it all went up in flames. Their falling out began on Robin Hood, when Reynolds reportedly grew frustrated with Costner's constant demands for script changes and his insistence on final approval of major creative decisions. Kevin is not a diva, but he has very strong opinions, explained a crew member. And when he feels he's right, he will not back down, even with his closest friends. The tension worsened during Waterworld, a notoriously troubled production plagued by budget overruns and logistical nightmares. Reynolds felt abandoned when Costner sided with Universal executives over several key creative disputes, while Costner believed Reynolds had lost control of the production and jeopardized the entire project. The breaking point came during post-production when Reynolds reportedly walked out of the editing room, leaving Costner to finish the film himself. Costner never forgave what he viewed as professional abandonment, particularly after Reynolds began publicly criticizing the final product in interviews. For Kevin, loyalty is everything, explained a mutual acquaintance. When Reynolds badmouthed him in the press, that was it. Their friendship was finished. Though they briefly reconciled years later, the trust was irreparably broken. Costner has since described the experience as one of the most painful betrayals of his career. 5. Madonna, the pop star who mocked his sincerity. While many of Costner's feuds involved behind-the-scenes conflicts, his animosity toward Madonna became a matter of public record thanks to a now infamous incident captured in her 1991 documentary Truth or Dare. During a backstage visit after one of her concerts, Costner complimented her show as neat, a comment Madonna immediately mocked after he left, making gagging gestures to her entourage. When the documentary was released, Costner's humiliation was broadcast to millions of viewers worldwide. Kevin is not someone who takes insults lightly, especially not when they're made in public, explained a longtime friend. What Madonna did wasn't just rude. It was an attack on his sincerity, which is the core of who he is as a person and an actor. Though Costner remained publicly gracious, even joking about the incident in later interviews, insiders insist he never forgave the pop icon. Behind closed doors, he made it clear he would never work with her under any circumstances, said a casting director. For someone who values dignity as much as Kevin does, that kind of mockery is the ultimate offense. Legacy of feuds. What makes Kevin Costner's animosities so compelling is not just the conflicts themselves, but how profoundly they shaped his career. Unlike many Hollywood stars who thrive on publicity from feuds, Costner concealed his resentments behind a facade of professionalism, channeling them into private decisions that altered the course of entire productions. The Young incident convinced him to prioritize professionalism in co-stars. The Pitt conflict reinforced his belief in loyalty above ambition. The Spielberg clash deepened his mistrust of Hollywood power structures. The Reynolds betrayal reminded him that even friendship has limits in the cutthroat world of filmmaking. And the Madonna humiliation hardened his resolve to protect his dignity at all costs. In the end, Kevin Costner's career stands as a testament to both his talent and his uncompromising code of honor. His private feuds may have remained hidden from the public, but their impact resonates across some of Hollywood's most iconic films. For those who look closely, the quiet fury behind his calm, earnest gaze tells a story every bit as compelling as the epics that made him a legend.